Hello Super Facebook land. This is Chris Pickard at Body Imbalance in Hertfordshire, and we've had a week on heart disease, on some of the new theories on what's causing it and new theories on how to prevent it. Why am I doing this when I'm not a heart specialist? Because I am a life specialist. I specialize in keeping people alive and well and encouraging them to have the healthy lifestyle that the NHS, the medical doctors and the government all say they want you to have, but they just don't teach it. Hello Jackie. Hello Jackie. So heart disease. Today I'm going to be talking about, because it's Fridays and I nearly always talk about this on Fridays, I'm going to talk about the effects of pollution and toxins on the heart. At the beginning of the week, in the My365 group, which by the way, if you're not a member of MI365, you should join. It's free. Why not? It's very good for your brain and your life. But at the beginning, I mentioned that air pollution is a major contributor to about a fifth of heart disease. It's huge. It depends on exactly where in the world you are, what city you're in, but certainly if you're in and around London, it's definitely contributing to heart damage. But it's not just the pollution we find in the air and all the different pollutants that there are. There are different smokes. I mean, there's secondhand cigarette smoke, and that's causing problems, not just in adults, but of course, if pregnant mothers are around secondhand smoke, it's getting into the fetuses and it's causing later heart disease as well as other problems as well. But there are other toxins that get in and they start causing inflammation in your body. And as they cause inflammation in the body, cells break down and die. And that's everywhere, including the heart. And we're now realizing that inflammation is a major driver of just about every chronic disease there is. It's neurodegenerative, so that means it adds to things like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. It degenerates all of your internal organs, so it can affect the pancreas and diabetes. It affects your heart, it affects obesity, it affects arthritis, autoimmune conditions. It drives all sorts of these chronic problems. And even the drugs that are given to you to treat inflammation, like diclofenac, ibuprofen, aspirin, they actually bioaccumulate and cause more inflammation, and they cause more cell damage, which is why people on anti-inflammatory drugs don't get better. I mean, if you take them for 2 or 3 days and the inflammation stops and you never have to take them, that's fine, they've done their job. But it's a bit like fire, okay? Fire and water. Now, if you have a house on fire and you get some water to put it out, the water puts the fire out, you stop the water, the fire doesn't come back. And that's where an anti-inflammatory drug can be very useful if the inflammation has gone completely bonkers out of control. However, a lot of people's inflammation isn't caused by a one-off spark in the house. It's because there's something underground, like a volcano or a lit gas pipe, and it keeps on causing the fire. So what happens, you keep on putting water on, and what does that do? It drowns you. The real answer is finding the cause of the inflammation. And the cause of inflammation in most chronic health disease isn't the inflammation. It's toxins and other things and other lifestyle choices. So, what's the next thing? Well, apart from inflammation, one of the major drivers and something that they're really looking at, and they found out that this is a massive problem, is mercury. Mercury is found it's found everywhere. It's polluting everything. And I believe it's still even used in some of today's modern vaccines as well. So we're actually injecting it into children. I don't know if they're still using it. I don't know if they've banned it in this country yet. I hope they have. But mercury, it's thought to be that at a certain level it becomes neurotoxic, but they've also found that it's very toxic to heart cells as well. And researchers are now finding that, we've got that mercury is found in a lot of fish, so particularly swordfish, and I think tuna and king mackerel are very high in mercury. But we're also finding mercury in a lot of more common products. Lipsticks contain some mercury, I think, or it might be lead actually. But mercury is definitely found in high fructose corn syrup. So if you look at food you're eating and it contains high fructose corn syrup or fructose syrup or corn syrup, it's probably got some mercury in there because of the processing. And what's been found, hello Hans, what's been found is that mercury seems to be, because we're getting chronically exposed to it a little bit at a time, is actually much more toxic than we thought at much lower levels. And at levels previously thought to be safe, they are contributing to neurodegenerative disorders like Parkinson's, but also to heart disease as well. So it's very, very important that we look at trying to reduce mercury intake, look out for it, but also because again if people had amalgam fillings, it can leach from the amalgam fillings. But please don't go out and just get your amalgam fillings removed unless you're going through a proper detox program, because very often mercury poisoning actually can happen about 2 years after you actually have the teeth removed, because there's so much removed, it gets stored, it circulates, then it gets into the nervous system. Long story cut short. So removing toxins is actually another way, and avoiding toxins is another way to avoid heart disease. So if you suspect you've been bombarded with a lot of toxins, like you've smoked a lot as well, loads of heavy metals and other pollutants in smoke, or you're just looking to make your body the healthiest place possible, then why not call us and give one of our detox protocols a go and see how great you feel as an effect of it. You can call us on 01707 662 704. But the most important thing is just share this message about toxicity, and especially mercury, because it is now being found to be incredibly toxic at far lower doses than they thought, and it's even combining with other small amounts of toxins, and they become again toxic at small amounts. Okay, reminds me actually, swimming pools. Everyone in England has probably seen the news over the past couple of days about how urine, and I spoke about this a few months ago actually, how urine actually interacts with chlorine, and it's the actual how the urine, because urine itself is not really too bad, not that I'm about to drink any or bathe in any, but it's how urine actually attaches to chlorine and other body particulate matter in urine and sweat, which is why it's so important to shower and wash before you go into a chlorinated pool. And it's actually the chlorine in the urea sticking together that creates that smell. So the more chlorinated everything smells, that means the more urine has actually got in there. Whereas if you get into a pool earlier on in the day, there's going to be less smell. And they were very, careful to point out the fact that, yeah, but it's not really toxic. It's such at low levels, it's not a problem. And that may be true for a lot of people, that it's not a problem yet. But what we're now realizing about toxins is that toxins build up in our body. And yes, that little level may be insignificant, but when you add it to 1,000 other levels, insignificant levels of toxins, of which Chinese scientists have now reckoned there's over 100,000 different toxins in our environment. So imagine you've got, non-lethal doses of 100,000 toxins in your body. All these things interact in different ways. Some of them may cancel each other out. Some toxins may combine and actually do good things. We don't know. But what we do know is that some of these toxins are combining at non-toxic levels and becoming horrendously toxic, like glyphosates, pesticides, mixing with heavy metals, mixing with other things, and they just become horrific. So yeah, even if it's an insignificant amount of toxins by itself is fine, combine it with everything else, you've got a disaster. Okay, on that bright note, I wish you a fantastic, happy, beautiful weekend. And I would just remind everyone that next week I shall probably only be doing one broadcast, and I think I'm going to talk about diabetes. I think that's the plan next week, but I may only do one broadcast because I am going to be concentrating a lot on the Magnificent 7 course that I'm actually doing for those that have said yes, they want in. So yeah, I will be a bit quieter on Facebook, but if I do end up with more time, I will broadcast more. Okay, live long and prosper, everyone. Be well, spread the message, save yourself, and save the NHS. And save some technology as well.